She looked straight at me and said it. He was better. Not kinder, not more loving, just better. One word. Empty, cold, and precise. It cut deeper than any fight we'd ever had, slicing through every shared laugh, every whispered hope, every touch in the dark. There was no anger in her tone, no fire behind the words. Just calm, eerily calm, like she'd rehearsed it, again and again, until it rolled off her tongue perfectly smooth and merciless. We sat in the same cozy little cafe where it all began. Crooked chairs, soft jazz humming from a corner speaker, the smell of cinnamon wafting in the air. I thought maybe she brought me there to reminisce, to salvage something small and sacred from the wreckage. But she hadn't. She brought me there to end us, to put the final nail in our history. I didn't mean for it to go this way, she said, spinning her spoon like it carried the weight of her guilt. It did, I replied, voice even. She nodded slowly. He makes me feel alive. That was it. Alive. As if the 2 years I gave her, the sleepless nights, the steady hands during her panic, the quiet ways I loved her, meant nothing. I gave her everything I had. But apparently, she wanted something else, something thrilling, something I no longer was. I left that cafe in a haze. It was like stepping out of my own story and into someone else's nightmare. My body moved on autopilot, but my heart stayed frozen at that table, bleeding beneath the weight of what she'd said. He's better. Better how? Was he richer? Taller? Did he say the right words in just the right way? I didn't ask. I didn't want confirmation of what I feared most, that maybe she was right. She moved on quickly. I watched it unfold like a slow car crash online. Photos of her glowing, draped in his arms. Her smile looked wider than I'd seen in months. He held her the way I used to. It was like I'd been a placeholder, a temporary shelter until she found something more dazzling, more dangerous. Crushed me. I stopped eating properly, stared blankly at meals that went cold. Friends tried to pull me back, nights out, road trips, anything to shake the weight. But nothing worked, because at the end of every day, I came home to a hollow space. A silence that smelled like her, that echoed with everything she'd taken with her. She never reached out. Not a text, not a birthday wish. And slowly I stopped expecting one. I began rebuilding, not for her, not for a second chance, but for myself. Because I couldn't stay broken forever. I joined a gym, traveled to places I'd only dreamed about, took up photography, capturing moments I no longer needed her in. I blocked her online. If she was happy, good. I needed something else, distance. Healing wasn't smooth. Some days felt like drowning. But I found comfort in quiet things. Early morning coffee, crunching gravel on trails, overheard laughter from strangers. I learned to enjoy my own company again. Something I forgot how to do when I was busy being someone else's world. Then almost a year later, my phone lit up. Can we talk? I stared at the screen. My first instinct was to ignore it, to delete it like it never existed. I owed her nothing. But curiosity, that old enemy, won. So I said yes. We met at the same cafe. Full circle. Felt like life was mocking me. She walked in slower this time. No confident stride, just soft steps. Her eyes were dim, her smile delicate. Thanks for meeting me, she said. I gave her a silent nod. I'm not here to justify anything, she began, her hands trembling around her cup. I just need to say this. I waited. I thought he was better, she admitted. Her voice didn't carry that same polished edge anymore. Cracked. But he wasn't. Not even close. I didn't blink. Just watched the woman who once called me her future, now sitting across from me, wrecked. He made everything feel exciting, she continued. But it wore off. And all that was left was chaos. He cheated, lied. And by the time I realized what I gave up, you were gone. She reached for my hand across the table. I didn't move. I'm sorry, she whispered. I was selfish. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I miss you every day. And if there's even the smallest part of you that still cares, please. Her voice cracked and crumbled. She sobbed. I should have felt vindicated. I should have relished the moment she was the one breaking. But I didn't. I felt peace. The storm was gone, and I was finally above the clouds, breathing again. I'm not angry anymore, I said, steady and sure. But I'm not who I was when you left. She nodded, tears streaming. I loved you, I added, deeply. For a long time I imagined this exact scene, this apology, this moment. But now that it's real, I've realized something. She looked up, eyes pleading. I'm okay without you. She broke again, covering her face, shaking. I'm glad you found your truth, I said gently. But I don't want to start over. I don't want a second shot that's built on what-ifs. I want peace. And I've found it. The silence that followed wasn't heavy, just final. She stood, quietly wiping her tears. I wish you the best, she murmured. You too. She walked away without looking back. And for the first time, I didn't watch her go. I finished my coffee, stepped outside, and took a breath so deep it felt like the first one in a year. She once told me he was better. A year later, she came back in tears. And me? I was already free.